Batman Arkham Asylum. What could I possibly say about this game that hasn't been said before? This is going to be a difficult task, but I think I'm up to the challenge. Trust me, by the end of this video, I am going to totally convince you that this game is a masterpiece, truly a work of art. Everything about this game was made with so much passion and it shows, and it deserves its ratings. It feels like the spiritual successor to the Batman animated series for a more mature audience. Arkham Asylum's story stands out among Batman's films by taking a risk and placing the Dark Knight in one location for the entirety. And boy did it pay off. It's a slow burn mystery sprinkled with some bombastic events.
I will break you, Batman! Then the Bruja!
No, Bane. This time I break you.
But before I continue to swoon over Batman's perfectly chiseled body in this video game, dare to dive with me into one of the best video games that's ever been made. Okay, more than likely you already know a lot about The Dark Knight, but maybe not so much Arkham Asylum itself. I think every Batman fan has asked themselves what happens to Batman's rogue gallery when they're apprehended. Do they get the clinical treatment they need? Is it even possible to house all of these crazy villains? Well, this game answers that question in the most morbid and horrifying way possible. In fact, it's way worse than you could possibly realize. And by simply walking around the asylum, you're going to find things like interrogation tapes and other evidence of just how far gone these inmates and other residents of this madhouse are.
Patient interview 9. Dr. Crane continues to evade questions. I believe he is quite sane, just evil. What is it about fear that drives your obsession?
Fear drives everything, Stephen.
Don't be ridiculous.
You married your wife, Margaret, isn't it? Because you were scared of dying alone.
Now in most games, you're trying to get to point A to point B as fast as you can. But in Arkham Asylum, I'm going to emphasize that you walk. There's just so much to see and hear. The devil is in the details in this hellish prison, and I mean that in the most literal sense possible. I don't think I'll ever forget strolling through the penitentiary my first time and hearing all the violent screams of the inmates. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't think of a more hellish scenario for Batman than figuring out that all of the criminals that he's been putting away have been maliciously experimented on and tested on. Meaning all that hard work that Batman has been putting into Gotham is taking a serious setback. There's even a haunting mystery about the founder of the asylum himself, Amadeus Arkham.
I am the spirit of Amadeus Arkham.
The voice casting for him is just spot on. I mean, walking through this haunted house listening to this guy truly feels like I'm living a ghost story.
Through my actions, I have saved this cursed city, though my own curse is to forever remain in the shadows. My story is carved into the very soul of Arkham, and will only be revealed to those dedicated enough to discover it.
The themes presented through the aesthetic of the asylum alone deal with infection and corruption, and burying the truth, even elements of Christianity. No matter where you go in this dreadful place, it always seems like you're unearthing some disturbing, harmful secret, whether it's some torture chamber or a secret room filled with plans to inflict further chaos. But the winner of the Most Disturbed award would easily go to Arkham Asylum's inmates. Ranging from raving lunatics to beefed up thugs, Arkham Asylum's inmates are what kept me at the edge of my seat. But the Prince of Crime deserves some credit too. He is the mastermind behind this brilliant scheme to trap Batman within the asylum. In fact, it's because of Joker we have another inmate to worry about. the Titan Thugs. Injected with a hybrid version of Bane's Venom Serum, these goons, and even Joker himself, are all more than a match for the Dark Knight physically. The Titan Serum serves as an excellent MacGuffin for the game, a mystery slowly unraveling as the night drudges on. Despite this, the game introduces Titan Thugs fairly early, giving a wide range of enemy types to contend with, especially when firearms are thrown in the mix. You don't have to try too hard at all to find traces of Batman's rogue gallery plastered all over the place. This game really utilized its Easter eggs to Batman's mythos perfectly. Solving riddles or completing puzzles rewards you with information on all sorts of characters. You can read and learn more about them and even access their asylum records. What was first established to aid those in need has now descended so far into darkness that anyone would know better to enter this deranged facility. Unless you're the Dark Knight himself. You're going to have to rethink your favorite Batman after you play as this towering vigilante. Trust me when I say that this series will become your new gold standard for what a Batman should be. The art style and character design may not be everyone's favorite, but I for one love it. It finds a graceful silver lining between comic book and hyper-realistic, and for a game that's 15 years old, it's a marvel for our eyes to see. To be real, I prefer Batman's design here than over the Arkham Knight's design. I think there's just a little too much going on with the Arkham Knight suit, but I can understand that they wanted to show off the next generation's capabilities. I think this is a situation where less is more, but hey, that's just my opinion. Equipped with the vocals of the late and legendary Kevin Conroy, Batman looks and sounds the part.
Bane called Dr. Young Bruja. What does it mean?
It's Spanish for witch.
And thank God we have all of these Arkham games with Conroy's talented performance to cherish. It warms my heart knowing that despite that he's gone, we will always have these great games and the animated series as a memento. But back to the Asylum and Batman. There's no way I'd set foot into this mansion unless I, well, was Batman. He's everybody's favorite badass superhero who is mortal. And this game really makes you feel that as Batman.
The bat is broken!
You can't move quicker than bullets, and you are susceptible of being overwhelmed, requiring you to think strategically on Arkham's battlefield, which takes the shape of the spookiest haunted house I've ever crept through. Long, narrow corridors that are just at odds with Batman's bulky build, creating a sense of claustrophobia. It's been said a million times that this game has set a gold standard on atmosphere, and in 2024, it does not disappoint.
My mind ran free, dreaming of delicious punishments to break this monster.
But back to Batman's crime fighting. The Dark Knight has two types of enemy encounters, the addicting free-flow combat and the stealthy predator mode. It wouldn't be Batman if you didn't have the chance to beat criminals to a bloody pulp, and the free-flow combat system realizes this concept with finesse. By pressing the correct button at the right time, Batman's attack power increases, creating instant gratification for the player's reflexes. Seriously, the takedowns in this are so sexy they'd give Joe Rogan a boner. The game throws more enemy types at you as you progress, naturally, so by the end you're juggling criminals with knives, batons, and even these roided up thugs that practically are juggernauts just waiting to be mounted by Batman to do damage to other thugs. And it's awesome. The free flow combat gets better as the games go on, but for the sake of this video, let's move on to the next combat style. Predator mode is what really makes me feel like I'm Batman. The first time you do an inverted takedown, your soul just leaves your body.
Better do it.
The gargoyles near the ceiling offer a safety net, so to speak. So anytime the player is in danger of being spotted or riddled by bullets, you can simply disappear into the shadows with a touch of a button.
I lost track of him.
A little bit later, the game spikes up the difficulty when C4 is planted on the gargoyles, causing the player damage and alerting enemies to your location. With these two well done playstyles, Arkham Asylum created a system that still inspires games to this day. Spider-Man for the PS4 being the first that comes to mind. Holy cow, I almost forgot Batman's signature utilities. I almost did my man a disservice by omitting this. Yes, Batman's tools play a part of this franchise. Batarangs and Batclaws, and even lesser known items like the explosive gel. Like Metroidvanias, with each new tool you unlock, it will also help you gain access to the map. But on another note, nothing really tickles me more than riding that line launcher. It just reminds me of the older Batman shenanigans. Speaking of older Batman shenanigans, let me tell you about my absolute favorite bat tool in the game, the anti-shark spray. It can be found in Croc's lair right here. Welcome to the madhouse, my friends. Please come inside and see some of my best friends in the asylum. Alright, well that's enough of my Joker impersonation.
Let's start the party with a bang.
The game's story is bolstered by the influence of the Dark Knight's Rogue Gallery. Let me explain. Arkham Asylum has many different facilities, and each have varying degrees of influence from the villains. Batman will have to square off with the villains at some point, and the boss battles are less generic than most traditional games. Most of the time it's platforming, like when you face off against Scarecrow, or a creative take on the established game mechanics, like with Killer Croc, a fan favorite boss battle.
Feasting on your bones.
I really feel like this game elevated Killer Croc the most among Batman's hierarchy of villains. His presence and character design in the game are terrifying, and you have to confront him in his own domain. Most of the inmates are really trying to get up into Batman's head and offer a more cerebral or even psychedelic experience. A highlighted example is Scarecrow using his fear toxin to literally trip out Batman and defeat him that way. Given how creative this is, and the experience it gave players, made Scarecrow an S-class villain for me. Scarecrow's voice actor and character design goes so hard here. He's menacing, creepy, the glowing yellow adds some definition to his color palette, and it even matches the Yellow Lantern's color for fear. I'm actually a huge fan of this design over Arkham Knight's, for the exact same reason I like Batman's. Another favorite of mine is Poison Ivy. She's one of the few characters who have a physical effect on Batman. And even the island itself. When Joker gives Ivy some of that Titan serum, she fully envelops the asylum in a web of vines, creating an even more haunting environment. Her boss fight is the most theatrical and true to her character. Even if it kinda feels like a ripoff of a Zelda game. Like, I swear I've seen this in the Forest Temple before. And go ahead and insert your dirty joke here. I know, it's bad enough they made her look like this, but from a character design standpoint, it's probably challenging not to sexualize Poison Ivy. You know what I mean? Her whole vibe is like Eve offering Adam the apple, so I just don't know. I just don't know where you go with that. I mean, I guess you could like really throw some heavy moss on her. There you go. Mossy Ivy. There you are. Mark Hamill and Arlene Sorkin reprised their roles to Joker and Harley Quinn respectively.
Ta-da! I'm home.
Come on in.
And their performance would continue to go on in almost all of the Arkham games following this one, at least the ones developed by Rocksteady. So I'll probably cover them a little more extensively in a future video. But for now, let's take a quick moment to appreciate the talented Arlene Sorkin, who passed away a little more than a year ago.
Can you hear me? Is this thing on? Oh, hiya, B-Man. Harley Quinn here. How do you like my new uniform? Pretty hot, huh? Oh, I got something to show you. 1 second, B-Man. Ta-da!
So many of these Arkham games elevate the lesser-known villains in a way that the movies just haven't been able to. And I really think it's because of the horror they tap into. Horror.
We'll find you. Rip your flesh like paper.
Now, horror normally isn't my taste, but what Rocksteady did in this game is just amazing. Some of it will upset viewers, but I think it's actually been tastefully done. Arkham Asylum may take its time warming up, but by the end it's firing on all cylinders. While I may not be a fan of Titan Joker, I can rest easy knowing that there's plenty more of this story left to be told, which I plan on covering in another video.
Get some rest. You deserve it.
Stay safe, Jim.
I'm going to go ahead and say that Batman Arkham Asylum would be the #1 game I would bring up to somebody who has never played a video game before and didn't understand the hype behind gaming. It saved the superhero genre in gaming forever. And now we have the Spider-Man games and even a Wolverine game on the horizon. Arkham Asylum created a perfect foundation for this franchise to grow on. It teaches you how to be Batman while in a confined space. But soon, Batman will be in an environment much more suited for him. Man, I just love this game so much. This game has some sentimental value to me, and that's because my senior year of high school, I moved to a new school, and I didn't know anybody, and it was over the summer, so like I really wasn't meeting people. And honestly, I hadn't even played a game in like years. But then, I kept on hearing about how great Batman Arkham Asylum was, and I played it, and I just remember it just being this nice thing, kind of getting me through a tough time. And speaking of tough times, guys, this past month, my house got flooded by all of these hurricanes and tropical depressions that we've been having this year. And it definitely has kind of put me back a little bit, but there were so many people who came forward to help us, and every little bit helped. So hey, you know what? If you know somebody who was affected by those hurricanes and tropical depressions, reach out a hand. Really, everything makes a difference. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. This was kind of a little bit of a Halloween special, plus I've always wanted to talk about this game. I'm not going to talk about how much I love it anymore, you already know. Now, a lot of the game mechanics are going to be carried over to the sequels. So if there was something I missed here, more than likely I'm going to be talking about it more in the future. But guys, that's going to wrap up this video, so until next time, y'all be good, peace.